Have gone past, of course, since Monday's defeat, which left everybody feeling a little bit down. What's been your thread this week from coming back in training with your players?
Well, obviously we're really disappointed, Graham, with not winning the football match. Really disappointed. I want to try and get that feeling amongst everybody again, going towards the end of the season, leading into next season. So we're bitterly disappointed. We've not coming out with a positive result, and the positive result would have been getting 3 points. I watched the game back numerous times, and the things that we've been talking about, which we started off with the season a little bit, was there for us to see. We've got to find better ways of getting better quality into the box, and more numbers into the box, and then we had numerous opportunities to be able to score. And we've got to be more clinical, more calm when we get into them positions. But there's a bit of a blueprint there for in terms of what I want it to look like moving forward.
There are those 2 games to go. They're very important games, not just for the opposition that you're coming up against. They're very important for your football club.
Yeah, they're massively important. They're important for the fans as well. They're important that they can see what we want to be and what we want to look like. Look, it's not ripping it up and starting again. There's good foundations there. The obvious is the defending, with the amount of clean sheets we've got. The blatant obvious is what we've got to get better at, and that's something we're addressing. Looking forward to next season in terms of getting more goal threat there. But it's important for our fans to see the commitment that the players are showing has got to be there, and they need to see a clear plan in terms of what we're working to. A lot of that might not be on the pitch, but we're doing a lot of work off the pitch to try and get us in a better position for next season.
How do you go about your team selection for the first game? Let's take it one game at a time. Do you look at possibilities for next season, permutations, systems, attitude, application? What do you come down to put your final lineup out?
Attitude and application will be a big one. That's the main aim. What I look for in terms of how players are training, what application. Ultimately, how people can improve the team if we move people around. With that, what I am going to say is we've obviously got players that are lone players who have been magnificent for us. I'm not going to just leave them out for the next couple of games. These players have been brilliant for us, in that 2 or 3 of them committed to not going to League One clubs in January. They showed a commitment to the club, and ultimately it's about what's best for us come Saturday afternoon. So we won't be making a lot of changes to the squad. There might be opportunities to look at 1 or 2 things, but we want to put on a good performance. That's what I'm after. It's going to be a hostile atmosphere. They've got a lot to play for, but we've got to focus on the areas we need to improve.
The way the results have gone, unfortunately, in the last few weeks, probably left you with a major miracle for things to happen. But let's take that out of it. Are you getting a clearer view of what you want to do, whatever division you're in this time next season?
Yes, certainly am in terms of what we want to look for and what we need. I'm really clear on that. The results haven't been good enough. I hold my hands up to that. They've been nowhere near good enough, regardless of what other teams are doing. In terms of we've been let off the hook a few times this season, where we've been able to stay in and around. But we've had some really positive meetings as staff, really ramping up in terms of what we're after for next season. I'm really clear and determined, more than anything, to get that feeling back at the football club, which I think we built up with the fans. What I would say, they were excellent against MK, the fans, and I fully understand their frustrations at the end of the game. But even then, I think they could see the effort. No one can tell me the players aren't putting effort in, because we get the data that backs up what we're seeing on the pitch. But I'm really clear in terms of what we need to do and what we've got to do to make it move forward.
How hurting has it been for you?
Yeah, it's been a real testing time. What I would say, the first time I think I've really gone through something like this. It's lasted longer than I wanted it to. I was hurting 10, 12 games ago after defeats. But it has been testing, and what it'll do, it'll only make me stronger. I'm so determined to make sure my end goal at this football club is what I want it to be, and I'll do everything in my power to make sure it looks like that for whenever that day comes. But I know what I want to do. I know what it's got to look like, what type of players we need coming into the building. But I've never backed down from anything, and I won't back down from this. Going through a spell of 17 games of it not looking how I want it to do, we'll turn it round.
Well, let's look at that first game, because it is a massive game for the hosts. There's no doubt about that. Their Football League status is still in question, so they're going to be firing on all cylinders. You've got to be ready for it.
Yeah, we'll have a partisan crowd there. It'll be lively. We'll take a few. But the cliche, say it all the time, we've got to concentrate on what we want to look like. We need to be an attacking threat from the off in the game. We want to try and dominate the game away from home. We did that at Colchester to really quieten them down at the start of the game. But it will be an intense game. They've got a lot riding on it, and it's important for the rest of the league, and not only our football club, that we put on the right performance, and that's why it's important with team selection that I do what I feel's right.
He's certainly done a job, hasn't he, Andy Crosby? I know he lost his job at Port Vale a few months ago, but he's certainly given them a chance.
Yeah, he's done really well. I was with him at a game the other week, a top fella. Nigel Atkins as well, a really good fella. Worked ever hard. They have a good relationship, and he was sorry for that changeover, but he's gone in and he's changed things around, formation. Got the crowd on their side because they can see the effort that the players are putting in. He's done a really, really good job, and if they can stay in the league, which I think they can do, I hope he's been then given the opportunity to then move it forward.
Excuse me. And with the season almost over, has your planning intensified in this last week or so for next season?
It's been intense anyway, because we sort of, you have an inkling, but what you don't want to do is the recruitment team are brilliant, and we let them crack on a little bit so it doesn't overtake what you're trying to do in terms of what you're working towards. But it's just amplified exactly what I think needs to happen. We've got some tough decisions to make with some players, but it has been intense over the last couple of weeks. Because I want to be in a position where we can put the foot down and move forward with things that we want to do.
You mentioned one or two players with you've got to have talks with them, but Ryan Cooney and Omar Bogan in the last couple of matches have not featured in the squad. Can you bring the fans up to date? What's happening there? Yeah,
that's just down to selection. We've had players, a good amount of players available to us, so it's given me an opportunity to look at a couple of things. Ryan played the other day in under 21, great attitude, fantastic attitude. So Omar's going to be patient in terms of who we're picking them and why we're picking them, but their application and their attitude, since I've had a brief conversation with them, it's been fine. So again, they're up for selection in terms of being in the squad for Tranmere.